JD here, and as you can see, we are back once again on F1 22, and once again, which seems to be really the only topic that everyone is talking about, is cheating, because pretty much the league racing scene is dead right now. Leagues such as PSGL and WOR, I believe, have just finished their seasons already because of really the state of the game. And with all this topic and discussion surrounding cheating, and today we're going to be talking about this driver here called Julian Clapham Block, if I said that correctly. I'm sorry if I completely butchered that. But this driver here has been accused of cheating, and you'll see at the end of his lap, subsequently has been banned from PSGL. And my question really is to you and the people in the comments is, do you think this guy is actually cheating? Because for me, it's a 50-50. There are a few things in the lap which we will be going over in a little bit more detail in a second, because this lap was only 11 thousandths off, or 11 hundredths off, the world record held by Nicholas Longley, which is obviously one of the fastest drivers on the game. But I think with so much of this drama going around now, and especially on the PC platform, many people are very quick to point the fingers. And yeah, this is why that we need an anti-cheat system, or just to move to a console completely for the next game. And Major League should be doing that. So you can see at 137.810, that was enough for P3 on the leaderboard. You can see very close to Nicholas Longley's time, only 11 thousandths away, actually, in fact. And you can see PSGL has decided to actually ban the driver from a strong suspicion of cheating. And that was followed up by his team at Team TF10 Esports. And in my opinion, it's, I don't know, feels like maybe jumping the gun a little bit. So if we just take a look at his app now, obviously just watching it, you really do have to go into the details. But on the exit here, has a bit of an oversteer moment going through the exit of turn one. So that should cost him quite a bit of time. Takes out in fourth gear, has absolutely insane traction going through here. So really, it's turn one so far. Had a bit of a correction on the exit, which should be costing him quite a bit of time. But it's coming through into here. Does that fairly well, in my opinion. But it's going through this next right-hander. Does not hook the apex and takes a long time for his wheel to get straight. So that should be costing him quite a bit of time as well. Going through it in this left-hander, kind of overspeeds a bit. Not too bad here, but again, on the exit, just running out wide a bit too much. Going for his middle sector, really hooks this up quite nicely. Could have hit the apex a little bit more on the inside. Now going through to this section, I think this right-hander is where he loses quite a bit of time, really pushing himself out wide. Another massive correction on the exit of that left-hander. And as we come down the hill, this is where you will see again, going through into this one, takes a long time for the wheel to get unwinded back to being straight. And off the exit of this final braking zone on the curb, and another snap of oversteer again. So quite a few mistakes in the lap. But I think one of the main things I notice is the lack of micro slides. And if you don't know what I mean by that, if you watch someone on a console, like an Xbox or PlayStation platform, you will see they have to constantly adjust the car. Because when he was on the traction there, it looked quite stable. So this is actually an example of a PS4 lap, a PlayStation 5 lap by Alpha Monk. I'm going to call him Alpha Monk. He's one of the fastest drivers on time trial. And see if you can spot any differences. I think the major thing you'll see is how he's just hooking up the apexes much more than Julian was, especially coming through here. So if you look at this right-hander, really does hook this apex quite well and doesn't go so wide on the exit too early. Coming through this one, bit of a slower in, faster out approach, and doesn't use that curb on the exit where Julian was, which should be creating a quite big loss in traction. Hooks it inside of this quite nicely, so it does it much tighter. And you're going through this left-hander, really does this very nicely, but this right-hander, much tighter. And let's see, on the exit of this corner, doesn't use anywhere near as much of the curb, and you can see there's no oversteer moment here. But now coming into the final sector, he actually does make quite a big mistake here. So coming through his left-hander, see again, gets the wheel unwinded a little bit sooner. But coming through this one, he makes quite a big error. So you can see he really does miss that apex. And ultimately, that does cost him a lap and was in fact actually a little bit slower. But his middle sector was not faster than Julian's was. And just from the naked eye there, definitely looked like he hooked up a lot more of those apexes to me. And you can see, as a result of that, I think he probably would have actually beaten his time quite comfortably if he hadn't made that mistake for the last corner. But if we do a little bit of a side-by-side comparison now, Julian's definitely got more straight line speed, so lower downforce, and coming from this corner, he was 3 kilometers an hour faster in a straight line, but is going a kilometer an hour faster on turn 1. On the exit, you can see he has a snap of oversteer whilst he's trying to get 100% on that power. As we go into turn 2, let's see what happens here. The Red Bull actually is carrying a little bit more minimum speed, but then at the exit, really good traction from the Ferrari. And as we come through down into the first real main straight of this lap here now, in this left-hander, you can see again the Red Bull is actually going faster. But the thing that's interesting is that although he was carrying more minimum speed, the Ferrari, despite you can see actually kissing the wall there, gets up to speed quicker. And you can already see, despite taking a wider line, hitting the wall, he was already faster going into the next turn. And now with these grip potential hacks, it's not just about the traction, but it's also the acceleration as well. And you can see just visually how much the Red Bull driver is hooking up the apex. And this is where he does actually gain some time. And if you look at the line on the exit as well, see how much wider the Ferrari goes. Actually almost kisses the wall once again. But then as we come into this left-hander, you see the Red Bull driver hooks up really nicely. But you can see the speed difference is about 2 kilometers an hour faster from the Ferrari. On the exit, you can see the Ferrari driver is using that curb on the left-hand side, so that should be harming his traction. Red Bull driver had a much more minimum speed in the exit that corner, but as we come into here, you can see again, in the lowest speed corners, the Ferrari is gaining the time, despite supposedly running a lower downforce because he was faster in a straight line. Come through into the castle section, into this right-hander, you can see the Red Bull driver is hooking that up much more, but the Ferrari driver is still going faster, quite a bit faster. And on the exit of here, you can see the Red Bull driver has made up the time and not using anywhere near as much as the curb on the exit. But as we come through into Sector 3 now, let's see what the time difference is going into this very difficult left-hander. And although it's not quite in sync, the Ferrari was going about 2 kilometers an hour faster going through there. But this is where the Red Bull driver does make a bit of a mistake here. So this is where you can easily explain maybe the difference. But you can see 4 kilometers an hour difference. But I think that was purely down to driver error. And as a result of that, he actually got a much better exit and therefore a faster lap. But yeah, for me, the lap didn't look too bad from Julian. But I think, again, which we've seen many times with other drivers, having a lower downforce, faster straight line speed, but still being able to be faster in many of the low speed corners. And I think the biggest thing the most when people are potentially using these grip hacks is that you don't get punished anywhere near as much for mistakes. But I think in this case it does feel a little bit unfair in my opinion, because we've had obviously drivers such as Thomas Ronha who have been accused by many F1 esports drivers like Jana Wapmir, Nicholas Onge, and they've done it on a very public platform. Yet they are not banned and they haven't been investigated. Even people such as Alvaro Caraton, who we even saw actually had grip hacks installed on his PC, whether that's for testing or whatever you want to believe, he wasn't banned. So I do feel it might be a little bit unfair where, you know, it's not completely proven. But please let me know your thoughts. The next video I'm going to be doing is the PSGL finale. I was meant to be doing it for this one, but I've had a few issues with my PC recently, so I will be releasing that next week. Thank you so much for support on the channel, and I'll be catching you very, very soon. Peace.